Rani in Mombasa and revelations that put to question integrity at the Land Ministry. Loopholes and alarming gaps in the prosecution's case render Faisal Mohammed a free man as court quashes 20-year jail term. And more shine for Kenya. Gold shine. Conseslus Kipruto, Winnie Chebet and Matthew Sawe win at the Africa Championships in Nigeria.
NTV Weekend Edition with Mark Masai.
We're glad you could join us tonight, and for those, of course, who would prefer to go online, it's at ntv.co.ke/live, and you can engage us on our Twitter handle at NTV Kenya. And David Agondoa, sign language interpreter tonight, and I are glad that you could be with us. And there'll be a lot of this, as you'll see with David, that is celebrations, because tonight Kenya is celebrating 3 more gold medals at the ongoing Africa Athletics Championships in Asaba, Nigeria, to add to Helen Obiri's victory in the women's 5,000 meters on Thursday. A reigning Olympic, world and Commonwealth champion Conseslus Kipruto won Kenya's 2nd gold of the competition after cruising to victory in the men's 3,000 meter steeplechase final. Winnie Chebet added to the gold rush with victory in the women's 1,500 meters, and this was followed by Matthew Sawe retaining his Continental title in the men's high jump. Kenya now has a total of 4 gold medals and 1 silver in the championship at the end of day 3. And I'm glad I could be lined up next to these champions. They're doing us proud, and we say congratulations, looking forward to more. And now to other stories of the day. Members of the Parliamentary Joint Committee of the Trade and Agriculture are now blaming what they term as powerful forces for the omissions made in a report tabled before the House. The committee, which is investigating the entry of contraband sugar into the country, was for the 2nd time yesterday on the defensive after its members disagreed on recommendations in the report it tabled for debate. And to be Silas Apollo with the latest episode of The Blame Game.
The latest development in the contraband sugar probe has left the Joint Committee of Agriculture and Trade seemingly more divided. The team's first report was deemed shallow, and their latest one allegedly doctored. The committee blames people it says have been indicted in the report.
We had indicted the CS Treasury, the CS Industrialization, and the former CS of Agriculture.
The legislators say the names of the 3 whom they believe were at the center of the entry of the illegal sugar were not in the final list.
I think these are some of the schemes to try and scatter the report, because this report is indicting the high and the mighty. It is indicting the who is who in the business community. Is indicting ministers, you know, and I believe it will be the best interest of those who are indicted to scatter this report.
Committee co-chair Adan Haji, while defending the team, did not fall short of blaming the Secretariat.
Everything we agreed on as a joint committee were projected, and we went step by step, point by point, to establish that whatever we agreed is captured there. If there was a contentious clause, we ventilated on it, interrogated the point, all sides, people with pro the point and those who are against and those who wanted to make amendment on it. And finally, we settled for a middle ground.
By the majority leader, Mr. Speaker.
In what now looks like a game of musical chairs, it is becoming clear that the probe into the illegal sugar may not come to fruition once again. Kega and his team, however, believe that the report, once tabled, would vindicate the team.
We are very happy that we have done a report that is credible, a report that will be validated, a report that will hold responsible people who messed.
It is now the hope of the committee that the lifeline given to it by the Speaker of the House will give it time to answer questions on the content of the sugar and who are the people who are supposed to be held responsible. Silas Apollo, NTV.
And just when you thought you heard it all, there's this. A group of people were grabbing land at the shores of the Indian Ocean, but it was not enough. So hard to get a hold of as it may be, even physically, they went on to grab the ocean, allocating some of the land underwater. This is among the key issues the National Lands Commission is seeking answers on. The Commission's chairman, Mohamed Swazuri, has named 3 companies that were irregularly allocated land at the Kibarani dump site. Jane Ivory takes us to the coast and into the details of the issue that has raised questions on how land owned by the government was taken into private hands.
Beauty and serenity dug into and drawn back by narratives of land grabbing and irregular land allocation, activities that are more distasteful than the garbage on site. Friday morning, the man at the helm of the National Lands Commission, acting on request by the President, toured the controversial Kibarani dump site.
Municipal Council of Mombasa, which is now the county government, has been dumping garbage originally on land belonging to Ministry of Livestock.
The total acreage stood at 32 acres, but now only 8 acres remain, with 4 farms being...
Ancient inland seas has 2 parcels. Remember? Sorry? Moja ni 0.4 hectares na nyingine ni kama 1.3 hectares.
0.4 hectares ni eka moja.
Halafu tuko na Halid Ahmed Limited ambayo iko na kama 0.5 hectares na tuko na MTech ambayo pia iko na kipande kingine cha kama 2.6 hectares.
According to Swazuri, the records of the 4 parcels of land mysteriously went missing at the Ministry of Lands. And as the illegal allocation went on, Swazuri says that more than land was grabbed.
7 parcels were allocated to people and they are on the ocean water.
NLC has issued a 1-week notice for those claiming ownership of any parcel of the said land to appear before it. Jane Ivory, NTV.
Daudi Nzomo, the man caught on camera assaulting his wife Winifred Mwende earlier this week in Makueni, has pleaded guilty. Nzomo appeared before Makueni Senior Principal Magistrate James Mwaniki a day after he was arrested. The magistrate has ordered that he be remanded until 8th August when the case will be mentioned. Nzomo was arrested on Thursday at Ngo Masumba Ward in Kibwezi West, Makueni County. Mwende is still recuperating at a Nairobi hospital where she is receiving specialized treatment. Quick recovery to you, Mwende. Faisal Mohammed, a Mombasa businessman involved in a 44 million shilling ivory haul, is a free man. Judge Dora Chepkwon termed Mohammed's 20-year jail sentence and 20 million shillings fine unconstitutional.
Mombasa High Court has revoked a 20-year jail term for businessman Faisal Mohammed, who was convicted in 2016. Faisal was arrested in December 2014 by Interpol agents in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, before he was brought into the country for trial. Mohammed was charged alongside 5 other people who were acquitted. He was handed a 20-year jail term and ordered to pay a fine of 20 million shillings for possessing 44 million shillings worth of ivory. Faisal Mohammed is now a free man after a successful appeal.
A loose end in their evidence that it's difficult to ascertain the truth about the ownership.
Judge Dora Chepkwon noted that the sentence was too severe and that the prosecution failed to prove that Mohammed was the owner of the ivory or was engaged in trafficking the trophy. The judge said the prosecution's case had gaps that left the court with many unanswered questions. The judge also questioned why 2 watchmen and a cleaner who were working where the ivory was recovered were not called to testify in the matter.
A sense of urgency that is being fed to the court merely to make it grant an immediate decision to a matter that requires no immediate deliberation or decision.
Therefore find that the offense of being in possession of trophy of endangered species was not proved as against the appellant. With regard to the issue of sentence, which was meted against the appellant being illegal,
the prosecution says it will appeal the judgment. Rozongoi, NTV.
Patel Coffee Estates Managing Director Peri Mansukh Kansagara alongside the farm's general manager Vinod Jaya Kumar have been arraigned in Naivasha for the pre-trial proceedings. The case will be mentioned on September 10th. The 2 are facing 48 counts of manslaughter. The other accused persons, who are employees of the Water Resources Authority and National Environmental Management Authority, have been relieved of their duties following the Director of Public Prosecution's order for their arrest and prosecution. The government officials who have been kicked out of office have pleaded with the court to allow them to have their cases heard at the nearest court to where they are, as they are not stationed in Nakuru. Not only did members of parliament slash the budget allocation to the judiciary, but they are also partly responsible for the almost non-existent financial freedom at the judiciary. The failure to enact the legislation to enable the creation of the Judiciary Fund as stipulated in the Constitution has taken a toll on Chief Justice David Maraga and his team. The International Commission of Jurists Kenyan arm has called on Parliament to enact the legislation to avert crisis in the delivery of justice. Brenda Wanga takes us into the courts of financial frustrations.
The Kenyan chapter of the International Commission of Jurists is the latest to add its voice to the chorus of concern around the slashing of the budget allocation to the judiciary.
When the judiciary presented a budget of 31.2 billion, you cut it down to 17.2 billion. What are you explaining to the Kenyans that you see your sector is really of no consequence?
The ICJ says the tag teaming of the executive and the legislature to curtail the performance of the third arm of government, the judiciary, is a direct threat to its independence. The ICJ says the retaliation being witnessed may have been caused by unfavorable decisions by the courts against the other two arms of government.
We should not use the issue of revisit at any time to attack the judiciary and come up with these impediments in terms of financial bottlenecks onto the operations of the judiciary. We hope.
The budget reduction has seen the judiciary warn about a slowdown in the judiciary.
That while we shall continue doing our best to deliver justice to the Kenyans, judicial services will this year be severely affected.
However, the judiciary's current situation would have been less of a crisis in waiting if the Constitution had been implemented as it should. Under Article 173 of the Constitution, the judiciary is meant to enjoy financial freedom through the creation and administration of a judiciary fund. Each financial year, the chief registrar is required to prepare estimates of expenditure and submit them to the National Assembly for approval. The fund would take care of administrative functions of the judiciary as well as other functions necessary for the discharge of the work of the judiciary. But for the fund to be established, Parliament ought to have enacted legislation to provide for its regulation. This has not been done 9 years after the promulgation of the Constitution, leaving the judicial system at the mercy of the other arms of government. ICJ Kenya is calling on the legislature to act as a matter of urgency.
Cabinet Secretary Treasury has no mandate under the Constitution to regulate the operation of the judiciary fund. It's very clear under the Constitution. And as a financial person, whichever way it is, it should maintain that area where the Constitution provides it should, but avoid the shenanigans of curtailing judicial independence.
The executive, through the Deputy President, promised to consult with the legislature to find a solution to the judiciary's financial woes. Brenda Wanga, NTV.
Back to that report on contraband sugar tabled in Parliament, which is actually devoid of answers from the government chemist. Answers to questions such as, what's in your cup? That cup with a drink that you have stirred sugar in. After weeks of heated debate, the very government that confirmed that there is poisoned sugar in circulation is yet to clearly tell Kenyans what to do or not do about consuming the sugar. There was hope that more information would be shared when the government chemist sat before the parliamentary committee probing the matter. But he stood up the MPs twice. Eunice Omolo highlights the implications of the metals in the sugar as the state is largely mum on this matter.
It has been a star in both clockwise and anti-clockwise directions in the quest to get to the bottom of the grain of the dirty sugar in Kenyan's cup. The probes of inquiries have in turn stirred up storms of uncertainty in teacups, raising waves of fears and rafts of ripples of hopelessness in what to do.
Tuliambiwa sukari iko baya, iko na mercury. Toka hiyo siku nikasema sinywi sukari tena. Mpaka wakati wataklarify kuwa iko sawa kwa human consumption.
Ununua dukani, sasa tutafanyaje? Hatuwezi tukajua, tumetahadharishwa. Lakini kwa sasa twaiona iko sawa.
Some Kenyans have disregarded the issues in light of their food concerns having been served with ladles of politics in the past.
Sijui tofauti kwa sababu mimi kitu yenye nasikia naona tu kwa bunge mara iko mara hakuna, na mimi wakati hata nasikiza wanapishana kule, mimi nachukua kopo langu la chai. Sasa sijui kuna kitu kinaendelea wakati wamepokea kitu wanasema hakuna, wakati hawachapokea kitu wanasema iko.
Kosea waje yao ni kuchukua tu sera zao, nini faida yao waende, na sisi wanatuumiza tu hapo wananchi wa chini.
The government chemist had previously confirmed the presence of mercury, lead and copper in some sugar. Dr. Catherine Kunyanga, a food scientist from the University of Nairobi, explains how heavy metals could have made their way into the sugar.
The way you can get them from is processing and storage. And as you could hear even from the report that was done by the Joint Committee, there was a lot of mishandling at the port of that bulk sugar, okay? And also we are not sure how it was transported, whether it was transported together with other commodities that might also introduce.
The chemicals are present in the water and various foods that people consume, but when the levels are high, the concerns also rise.
Developmental effects, like the development of the brain and also the central nervous system, and this has been shown more. The people at risk of these effects, toxic effects, actually pregnant women, for example. So the growing fetus will not develop properly, and this causes problems later also as the kid is growing. So it has been shown also to have neurotoxicity again, effects on the nervous system, cardiovascular effects, so effects to do with the heart, and also the kidney.
Other than the heavy metals, the Ministry of Health said that 60% of the sugar its official sampled and tested had high moisture content.
In high content, then it becomes a way of microorganisms to grow, because microorganisms need water to grow, right? So if you have high moisture content in your product, then yeast and molds will grow, bacteria will grow, and other microorganisms. And when they grow, of course, some will produce toxins, and if they enter the human body, they can also have toxic effects.
The Kenya Bureau of Standards, in a report contradicting the government's chemist, said no mercury was found in the sugar samples. KEBS, however, acknowledged the presence of yeast and mold, which also have health implications when ingested.
The yeast and molds and all the other microorganisms, normally you get food poisoning. And you've had in Kenya and generally in Africa, we usually have outbreaks of foodborne diseases. They're actually caused by this presence of these microorganisms in food.
Sugar has slowly been moving from being a safe source of sweetness to an element for food poisoning, all the while the government has not given much public information on how to handle the potentially deadly contents blended into their meals. Eunice Omolo, NTV.
Well, the government chemist wasn't the only one who stood up a parliamentary committee. Chandarana Food Plus supermarket managers failed to honor summons by the National Cohesion and Integration Commission earlier this morning. The managers were to appear before the commission at 10 a.m. for probe into the racist promotion email it sent to its staff recently. NCIC Chairman Francis Ole Kaparo, who confirmed that the managers had received the summons, called off the meeting after a 2-hour wait.
Summons was done twice. Yesterday was emailed, and they actually confirmed it this morning. Some of the colleagues in that institutions confirmed this morning that the email was received yesterday. And that person was supposed to be at the commission headquarters today at 10 o'clock. When you want to discriminate against your customers on racial grounds, it is very serious. If she doesn't come, then the commission will take recourse to other legal consequences, including going to court to get an order to compel that person to appear before it. And there are also legal consequences arising out of defiance of a lawful summons given by the commission.
Well, with 18 minutes past the hour, it's time to take a quick break here on NTV Weekend Edition. Earlier, we brought you the story of Faisal Mohammed, whose 20-year sentence was revoked. Well, the DPP, in response to this story, says it is dissatisfied and aggrieved with the judgment of the High Court acquittal of Faisal Ali Mohammed on charges relating to wildlife trafficking. And the DPP will be appealing the decision at the Court of Appeal. That's just an update on that story ran earlier on. Stay with me. Be back shortly with more. across the country under the Amani Sasa Foundation at his Capitol Hill offices. In a statement posted on his Twitter handle, Odinga says he called on the group to take advantage of the opportunities presented by the handshake to find lasting peace and stability in the country. Odinga also called on Kenyans to make submissions to the Building Bridges initiative on the 9 issues identified in the MOU signed with President Uhuru Kenyatta. In the delegation was former Mungiki leader Maina Jenga. Meanwhile, Deputy President William Ruto says that the Big Four agenda should be supported and actualized at all levels of government. Speaking in Murang'a County, DP Ruto asked governors and county assemblies to drive the agenda, insisting the government's resolve to implement development projects promised during campaigns was on course.
Deputy President William Ruto was in Murang'a County for a second time in 7 days. In line with his past events, the Deputy President steered clear of politics.
Big Four haifanyiki Nairobi. Big Four itafanyika mashinani. Kuzalisha chakula itafanyika mashinani. Mambo ya industrialization itafanyika mashinani. Mambo ya universal healthcare itafanyika mashinani. Ile housing itafanyika mashinani.
Wajumbe, governors, senators, MCAs, tujumuike pamoja na kiongozi wetu Mheshimiwa Rais na naibu wake ili tuendeleze nchi yetu.
We are behind His Excellency the President and yourself in making sure that we assist you in our own very many and small ways to deliver your 4 big agenda.
Even as the Deputy President focuses on his party's development agenda, the leaders present read from a different script.
The Rais wetu Uhuru Kenyatta ni rais kwa saa hii. Watajaribu juu chini, wajaribu bunge, wajaribu wapi, but the idea that its time has come is one. And that idea is William Samoei Ruto tukiendelea mbele.
Nyoro cited the motion by Kisumu Central MP Fred Ouda, which sought to block DP Ruto from running for the country's presidency. Ouda argued that DP Ruto was elected directly by the people by being on the ballot with Uhuru Kenyatta in 2013 and 2017.
Nikasimama bunge nikaambia speaker, ndio ujue hiyo kitu anasoma ameandikiwa, upatie nafasi uone hata toboa, kujua ameandikiwa nini. They can try everything. Walijaribu Hague, wakajaribu ICC.
Ruto also called for schools expansion instead of building more schools to handle the growing students' population. Kennedy Muredhi, NTV.
Take another break and I'll be back with the business of the day. Stay with us.
We will start now to talk.
Fund's standby credit facility? That is the unanswered question after a team from the IMF left Kenya without comment status on the facility. The team was in the country meeting with the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Planning and the Governor of the Central Bank, reviewing the performance of its 150 billion shilling forex insurance program with Kenya that expires mid-next month. The review was expected to see Kenya allowed or denied further access to the standby facility. In a statement issued today, the IMF says the discussions focused on fiscal policies to achieve the authority's fiscal deficit target of 5.7% of GDP in the 2018-2019 financial year, interest rate controls and structural reforms aiming to ensure the sustainability of growth. Unilever Tea Company has denied claims that it intends to lay off 11,000 employees. In a statement sent to newsrooms, the company says that only eligible employees are allowed to initiate a request for service termination on a voluntary basis. It further states that there is no target number of employees to be sent on early retirement other than those who submit their applications. The statement comes 2 days after NTV aired a story on looming mass retrenchment, but the company stopped the exercise after the Kenya Plantations and Agricultural Workers Union, KIPAU, went to court protesting the move. Employment and Labour Relations Court in Nakuru issued an injunction order to stop the voluntary early retirement plan until both parties appear in court for inter-parties hearing. However, KIPAU maintains that majority of the employees are within the productive age of 20 to 35 years, and the suggestions of close to retirement is a scheme Unilever Tea Kenya Limited plans to use for termination. Kitui County is set to aggressively begin environmental restoration activities after it passed a law setting aside 1% of its budget to build resilience to climate change in the county. Kitui now becomes the 5th county to approve such regulations and also set aside money for adaptation and mitigation activities.
For a long time, Kitui County has been victim of wanton environmental destruction through the sand harvesting and charcoal burning, leaving Kitui exposed to prolonged droughts and resultant famine. Kitui's forest cover currently stands at 7%, way below the recommended minimum of 10%.
It is this reality that Kitui County says led it to ban all sand harvesting and charcoal burning activities, a move intended to repair the damage to the environment. And now the county is taking it a notch higher, setting up a county climate change fund that compels the county to set aside at least 1% of its budget towards building climate resilience. In the 2018-2019 financial year, this 1% translates to 117 million shillings.
And not too many, Kitui has actually been on the forefront of initiating programs that will ensure that we have a sustainable exploitation of our natural resources, protect the environment, and therefore contribute to reversing the adverse effects of climate change.
In the last few months, counties have been taking steps to protect themselves from the impact of climate change, especially in light of the frequent floods and droughts. In just the last few days, 2 counties, that is Kitui and Garissa, have set aside a combined total of 177 million shillings towards adaptation and mitigation as they seek to climate-proof their counties.
These regulations, we are talking of them assisting in issues to do with climate resilience, water, planting of green grams, millet, sorghum, cassava.
Kitui says that it is through such interventions that it has been able to boost its food security and break its people away from the dependence on relief food. Zainab Wandati, NTV.
Most dairy farmers around the country suffered huge losses due to a decline in milk production in the wake of the prolonged drought that was witnessed last year. Farmers from the North Rift region seem to have learned a bitter lesson from that experience and are now preparing early enough in order to ensure constant supply of milk and maximum profits. Gabriel Kudaka reports.
Last year's prolonged dry spell painted a gloomy picture for the country's dairy sector, forcing many farmers to incur extra costs in purchase of feeds.
We were buying silage actually, na ilitu cost a lot, na maziwa yetu at that point in time ilienda chini. Tulishuka from about 300 tukaenda mpaka 250, karibu hata tufike 200.
We had done about 5 acres of silage, which only took us about 4 months. And now we were forced as a farm, Lakata farm, to go and buy maize silage from the retailers. It's been very expensive for us. But this year, we can say that we are not going to any retailer in terms of silage, silage making. The cost of production is actually gone as high as 70%.
At Lagata Dairy Farm in Lesero Village in Uasin Gishu County, dairy farmers undergo training on proper techniques of producing quality animal feeds.
Fertilization yetu huwa tunategemea nini?
Most farmers in the North Rift region have now decided to make their own animal feeds in order to reduce production cost and ensure constant supply of milk. In Kapsaret village, also in Uasin Gishu County, we come across Willy Kirwa, a dairy farmer who plants maize purely for silage making.
Mwaka huu mimi nimechipanga ile mahindi yangu yote ambaye ningefuna hiyo mahindi nitashaga yote, kwa sababu unaona kwamba bei ya mahindi inaendelea kwenda chini. Na sisi kama wakulima tunaona kwamba tukitengeneza silage, tunaweza tengeneza silage ambaye tunauza na tunatengeneza silage ambaye tunatumia kulisha ng'ombe.
Kirwa, like other farmers, believes reliance on fodder over primarily rain-fed feeds would help address fluctuations in milk prices, hence enable farmers stay afloat even in dry seasons. Gabriel Kudaka, NTV.
Akin to the way that coffee is blended in order to enhance its quality, Fairview Coffee Estate in Kiambu County has found a way to blend tourism and agriculture through what one would term as coffee tourism. On this week's Food Friday, Alex Wangi explores this new form of agro-tourism which is largely untapped on Kenyan farms.
How does coffee look like in its raw form? How is the cash crop exploited right from the farm to the market? These are questions that a curious tourist seeks answers to. The answers lie on many Kenyan farms, but few have opted to go down the route of opening their farms to tourists. The 150-acre Fairview Coffee Estate in Kiambu County is one of those that is backing the trend.
It's very much like going to the wine tours in Cape Town in South Africa, where you're able to sample, the grapes, and at the end of the day, take away some of the wine, and you come away with an adventure and an experience that's quite unique.
It's the similar model that we have here, where we have tourists, coming to the farm to taste the different premium grades of coffee, and then afterwards, they're able to buy the coffee from the farm.
In 2017, Kenya sold coffee worth 16 billion shillings. That was a dip of 1.2% from the 16.2 billion shillings worth of the cash crop sold in 2016. Over the last 5 years, the highest sales were recorded in 2014, when 16.6 billion shillings worth of coffee was sold. Coffee is one of the cash crops that has faced turbulent seasons locally, with some farmers uprooting the crop in favor of real estate, despite the higher quality status that Kenyan coffee has when compared to produce from other regions. The need for coffee to be marketed locally and internationally is thus paramount if the culture of Kenya as a coffee destination is to be entrenched.
The main objective is celebrating coffee as a beverage and having fun around coffee. But it's also to promote and do campaigns around also local consumption of coffee amongst Kenyans, who some don't even know, about coffee, and also don't know where to get, good quality coffee that has been produced and roasted in the country as well.
We get visitors really from all over the world, from Asia, from Europe, from the Americas.
It was really nice to see how the coffee comes in the little berries first and then turns into beans, because I thought they just popped up and they were beans. And the coffee tasted really good. It was very chocolatey. When I first tasted it, I knew that it was chocolate. So.
This experience has been incredible. It's been something that I've wanted to do for an extremely long time. Pick coffee beans off of an African plantation.
Kenyan coffee is globally renowned for its high quality. and is often used in blending to improve the quality of coffee from other regions. The idea of marketing coffee farms as tourist attractions could thus portend higher revenue for farmers, but also increase the prospects of higher sales of the crop from tourists and their networks abroad.
We've been here for about an hour picking beans, and it's been very fun. It's been a good experience because we all love coffee. We drink so much coffee in America, but we never got to pick and actually do the process of it. So it's been a very good experience, very, I don't know how to say, I guess impactful. So it was very nice to just see where it comes from, because half of us didn't even know it came from a tree.
Fairview Coffee Estate produces 80 tons of the produce annually. Alex Mwangi, NTV.
I'd like to see the agri-tourism equivalent in Meru, Embu, because you know what's popular there, and see the reaction that we'll have from the tourists who try out the farming and harvesting of miraa, or, you know, mogoka, as we know it on the streets. That's it for business. I'll be back with more shortly. Stay with me.
NTV Weekend Edition with Mark Masai.
Thank you for staying with me. Stakeholders at Moi Girls Secondary School now say their priority is to ensure its academic front remains stable. In a reflection event organized at the school today, parents, teachers, students, school management, among other stakeholders, discussed the way forward for the school. They resolved to channel all their resources towards restoring their lost glory. The school reopened last month after being closed for a week amidst rape and insecurity claims.
Good afternoon of honor, the regional. All is well, all is possible.
Madam Mutegi.
So we are actually revising with our girls. We have a new board. They are going to look at what the interim board has done. They are going to look at what the interim board has not done. They are going to look at all the recommendations of the reports that were coming from the Ministry of Education, that were coming from the Ministry of Interior, that were coming from the security agencies as regards what steps are supposed to be taken to ensure that this school does not just become secure, does not just become an academic giant, but becomes a place to be.
To the biggest story on the continent at the moment, Zimbabwe's opposition party MDC continues to hold on to their claims that the presidential election that led to the victory of President Emmerson Mnangagwa was rigged. The party leader, Nelson Chamisa, accused the ruling party of not being confident with their results after police dismissed journalists who had attended a press conference where issues regarding the elections were to be addressed.
Zimbabwean riot police entered the Harare hotel to break up a planned press conference by opposition leader Nelson Chamisa, who has rejected the election results announced in the early hours of the morning. The police carrying shields and tear gas canisters prevented the event from starting, but the MDC flag bearer gave his statement.
This election, as a presidential result, is fraudulent, illegal, illegitimate, and characterized by serious credibility gaps and some serious legitimacy issues.
According to the Electoral Commission, the incumbent President Emmerson Mnangagwa won the presidential election by 50.8% of votes. The opposition leader garnered 44.3%. Opposition allegations of foul play had already sparked the deadly crackdown on protesters in the capital on Wednesday when troops opened fire, killing 6. Mali opposition leader Soumaila Cisse has rejected the country's presidential results that led to the victory of President Ibrahim Keita. The opposition leader claimed that the results were manipulated and had deliberate violations of electoral law. The Ministry of Territorial Administration said that the 4 days election had many accusations of fraud and attacks by suspected militants that prevented thousands from voting. None of the presidential candidates attained the 50% required to win outright. Incumbent President Ibrahim Keita got 41.1%, while his rival, former Finance Minister Cisse, followed him with 17.8%.
From Zimbabwe, we come back home and we'll be into the sports arena after the break. Stay with us.
edition with Imperial Leather.
Let's get to the sports. And Kenya's athletics had a hugely successful day at the Africa Championships, winning 3 gold medals and a silver on the track and field. Conseslus Kipruto, Winnie Chebet and Matthew Sawe secured gold in the 3,000 steeplechase, 1,500 meters and high jump respectively, while Emmanuel Korir grabbed a silver medal in the men's 800 meters.
Olympic and world champion Conseslus Kipruto won Kenya's second gold at the 2018 Africa Championships after cruising to victory in the men's 3,000 meter steeplechase final in a time of 8 minutes 26.38 seconds. The 2018 Commonwealth Games champion beat Morocco's Soufiane El Bakkali to hold all major titles in the discipline at the same time.
I was in this Africa to fight colleagues from Africa. I haven't got this, so it was my first time to be in African Championship, and I'm happy I won.
Moments after Kipruto had brought down the Stephen Keshi Stadium, Winnie Chebet won Kenya's 3rd gold medal at the championships with victory in the women's 1,500 meters final. On the field, Matthew Sawe retained his Africa Athletics Championships high jump title with an assured performance to earn Kenya her 4th gold medal of the Games, following Helen Obiri's victory in the women's 5,000 meters on Thursday. Earlier on Friday, Emmanuel Korir settled for silver in the men's 800 meters final as Nigel Amos of Botswana struck gold. This puts Kenya's overall medal tally at 4 golds and 1 silver heading into the penultimate day.
Nakumatt FC will host high-flying Gor Mahia at the Kenyatta Stadium on Saturday in what will be arguably the highlight of the Kenyan Premier League this weekend. Nakumatt have been improving steadily since the appointment of head coach Medo Melis, and they will be hoping to be the first side to edge out the reigning champions who are yet to lose a match this season, winning 8 consecutive matches. In other matches on Saturday, 15th place Chemelil Sugar FC hosts Vihiga United at the Chemelil Sports Complex. Tusker traveled to Kakamega in high spirits after edging out Sofapaka in their last league match on Monday, and Posta Rangers will host on-form Bandari FC at the Camp Toyoyo. Rally drivers Ian Duncan, Carl Flash Tundo, Baldev Chagar, Onkarai and Karan Patel are among the entries for this weekend's hill climb event in Naivasha that gets underway on Saturday. There will be 7 different classes, including 15 four-wheel drive vehicles, 10 bikes, 7 rally raids, 5 classics, 7 buggies, 3 juniors and 2 quad bikes on a 3-kilometer course that has been graded to ensure the highest speeds possible. The event will be held over 2 days on Saturday and Sunday, with the quickest driver among the 50 racing taking the crown. The Opich Pacho football tournament comes to a close this weekend at the Jomo Kenyatta grounds, Kisumu, with 18 teams having qualified for the round of 16 action that kicks off on Saturday at 9 a.m. Nyalenda FC plays North Nyakach, with the winner facing Kajulu FC for the 8th playoff, while tournament favorites Kabonyo Kanyagwal clash with Bench FC. In other matches, West Santos plays Migosi FC, Manyata Stars squares it out with Kolwa Central Ward FC, and Railways meets North Seme for the 4th playoff, and Wenya FC battles Miwani Stars. Kolwa FC plays Central Kisumu FC, and the Nyalenda FC will do battle against Kabonyo Kanyagwal.
So if you're in whichever corner of Kisumu County, you get to now play in the city. You are seen by local scout agents as well as national scout agents. And in fact, I'm hoping that we continue this into next year and make this an annual event, so that next time when the national scout agents are here actively working and seeing the potential for different players to join the national football clubs. And this is how it starts. It's these little initiatives that we've done with EABL that make the journey easier.
After almost a month's break, action in the Africa Gold Cup and 2019 World Cup qualifier resumes on Saturday, 4th August, with Uganda hosting Tunisia, while leaders Namibia travel to Zimbabwe. Namibia tops the table with 15 points at the end of the first half of the campaign, while Kenya is second with 12 points. Tunisia are third with 4 points. Morocco and Zimbabwe have 3 points each, while Uganda is bottom with no points so far. Kenya will return to action on Saturday, the 11th of August, with a home game against Tunisia as Uganda clashes with Morocco. The winner of the Africa Gold Cup will book an automatic ticket to the 2019 World Cup in Japan, while the second-place team will head to France for a four-team repackage from where the winning side will also head to the World Cup. Manchester City striker Gabriel Jesus has signed a 5-year deal which will keep him at the Premier League champions until 2023. The 21-year-old Brazil international scored 24.
This is NTV.
All bets on sports.
What is fair?
Huge winnings.
What is fair?
High odds.
What is fair?
Fast pay.
What is fair? What is fair?
Bookmaker Company.
The truth is, we are all self-made, but only the successful will admit it. You are focused on your success. So are we.
Take notes and write down a summary of the important ideas as you read through your study material. Make sure that you understand the material well. Don't just read through the material and try to memorize everything.
Barton College offers quality, relevant and affordable education to all. Visit any of our campuses in Kapsabet, Eldoret and Kericho Sosiot. Barton College, quality and affordable.
Imagine the security and happiness that comes with owning your home today. In Mugumo Heights from Banda Homes, the 54 units of 2-bedroom apartments are in a green and serene area of Tindigwa, Kiambu Road, 400 meters from the tarmac and 10 kilometers from the CBD. Deposit 1.75 million shillings and balance in 15 monthly installments.
Nanyuki, mko tayari? We got a plot for you this weekend. Twende Nanyuki na Kodi Kodi.
Kijana sura yake anakaa fisi, atakutetea. Aya?
Mimi napenda wanyama.
Saturday, 4th August, Churchill Show finally lands in Nanyuki at the Nanyuki Sports Club. A night of comedy and after party to remember, featuring all your Churchill Show favorite comedians. Hosted by Churchill mwenyewe, tamu sana kama asali. Tickets VIP 2,000 bob, regular 500 bob. Advance ticket available at Nanyuki Mall, Cedar Mall, Kieni Supermarkets, and Nanyuki Sports Club. Or dial star 229 star 29 hash. Tag a friend along. Twende Nanyuki this weekend na Kodi. Usikose. This is a plot.
Tomorrow night on NTV.
The flows are American.
Petro, asubuhi kama you want to get into politics, say I want to get into politics.